and the world is still 23 degrees sideways. This is a quick video. This one's going to go up a little bit late. The Friday video did not get done despite my vow of consistency due to life events, including activities involving the puppies, which you are going to hear in the background because they're all whining and stuff. The whelping box is back there. We have golden retriever puppies. In science fiction, there's been a lot of talk about the parallel universe and the alternate history, and it's been going on for a long time. It's decades and decades old. And sometimes physicists talk about it, and sometimes, regular people talk about it. The science fiction authors and the people who write on it usually get a couple of things, I don't want to say wrong, because I don't know how this works, but conceptually wrong. So, if universes split every time a different event happens, something goes one way instead of another, then, well, you get the alternate history people who try to say that, well, that's only just a cusp point. There's a special point in history where things can change, and there's a special point here. Like, the whole idea of what if Hitler won World War II because he won this one battle. Well, it doesn't work that way because it wouldn't be one battle. I'll touch back on that one in a moment. So then you have the people who say, well, what if there's a whole bunch of different universes based on smaller decisions, but they're still talking about hundreds or thousands of universes. The idea I want to look at is, what if there's a new universe every, femtosecond, 10 new universes every femtosecond. Every time a atom does something different. It's an infinite number of universes. An idea I like better is, since the universe appears in a lot of ways to be a development of consciousness, what if every time someone does something different or someone makes a split decision, I'm not sure what that split decision is, then the universe splits. That's going to be still infinite, nearly, but it's a comprehensible scale. It's a comprehensible scale of infinite versus the idea that you literally are creating billions of universes every second. Every atom could do something different every femtosecond. That's just insane. Very possible. The idea of the consciousness being the determining factor in split universes and the trillions upon trillions of Gogls of parallel universes has some interesting features, because I think about this when things happen. In my social circle, we talk about universe switching. And once you wake yourself up to it, it's kind of interesting because you can actually notice this happening more often. People get little moments of confusion, and they're kind of like deja vu, but it's not. You remember something being different. And sometimes they're bigger, and sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes they're things like a stop sign change. There's an intersection in town that I distinctly remember for 8 years had a stop sign going the other way. And one of my partners remembers it that way, and one of my partners doesn't. And that really freaks me out a little bit. The one who doesn't, however, doesn't drive, so there might be an attention issue. But that still freaks me out a little bit, because the idea of universe switching, if you're skipping universes, like skipping stones down a river, who are your loved ones? Are they the same people from universe to universe, to universe to universe? Okay, let's go back to Hitler for a moment. Hitler winning World War II in an alternate history, or the South winning the Civil War, I don't know, whatever your alternate history is. These are not things that realistically could be decided by that one cusp moment decision of battle or something. It's not like the Civil War would not have happened if Robert E. Lee had said, "Nope, not doing it." It still would have happened. It just would have happened differently. So what you're looking at is a series of thousands of smaller decisions that would have built a cusp, okay? So to take an example of World War I, let's avoid the Nazis for a moment. If the early war crimes against the Belgians had not occurred in that way, if some things had just gone a little bit differently, and we're talking literally 5 or 6 people in the first border crossing, a couple of officers could have made different decisions, it would have changed the course of the war significantly over time. If you add to that an attack when they were marching past an undefended Paris, was it Paris or Versailles? Anyway, there are moments where you could have changed a little bit of the course, and a little bit of the course, and a little bit of the course. And these things could have added up to a different large-scale picture. However, that relies on consciousness and people's decisions, consciousness being the determining factor, instead of whether or not a atom splits or doesn't split. Now, I'm not a huge believer in the whole alternate history idea. I think when you imagine that, you're imagining something more akin to past lives than you are to alternate histories. But we do definitely, in my experience, in my perception, in my reality, traverse universes, parallel universes, all the time. I think that because we're talking about a near infinite number, most of the time when you're doing this, you don't notice. There's no change that you can notice. And that's where we get into the concept of who are your loved ones. It would be really scary to think that the person that you're sleeping with isn't the same person you were sleeping with 10 seconds ago. And there's 500 trillion copies of you. But I doubt that that's actually what's happening. I think that the soul, whatever the external reality is of the soul, is broad. I think that there's a breadth. And I think that explains some things about things we can and can't remember or recall and how things work in our soul to mind interface. I think the soul is broad. And I think what's going on is that you have these, think of them as big flat amoeba. And as you shift universes, you're still kind of touching each other. Okay? That's a very simplistic couple-oriented view. This would be more on the scale of, 8 billion people kind of floating through universes. But I bet some people are more separated from other people than other people. That made a lot of sense, didn't it? I'll bet that there are some people who are more non-separated, more included in their group than other groups. And that causes some confusion. This would be similar to jati, a karma group, a karma souls that are intertwined through a karmic voyage over multiple lifetimes. I think that might actually be a thing. In a lot of older Indo-European religions, you have a tripartite soul, where you actually have the family or the tribe soul and your soul. And I think that there's a part to that might translate over here. Okay? This is all just wacky thinking, so don't take it too seriously. Okay? Even if it's real, and you can't tell if it is or not. But when you do switch universes, I suspect that you're switching universes in a big group, your football team, okay? And that some of the problems that we have with interpersonal relations and interactions and confusions isn't just from conflicting identities, but might actually be from conflicting realities or past realities. You can have people who quite literally remember the stop sign being the other way. Fortunately for me, it was a stop sign that I used to have to stop for and no longer do, so that one actually worked out really well, and I don't have to be on autopilot driving and running the stop sign. But it's very possible that does actually happen, that people sometimes have accidents or events just running into to a door that wasn't there before. These events happen. It's very possible that that happens because of a universe switch. And that's all. I just thought it was really cool to think about. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it struck me as important when I looked at it as groups of souls doing universe switches, or groups of attention units, whatever your awareness unit, doing universe switches, instead of just this, oh man, almost, I don't want to say utilitarian or pedestrian or libertarian, it's almost like libertarianish, the idea that, or solipsistic idea that you are the one thing and you keep translating from universe to universe to universe, and everything else is completely different, including the people around you. Don't think that's really how it works. And it makes a lot of sense. It helps give you a handle on things that otherwise wouldn't make sense in a universe switching context. There's a lot to it. Anyway, hey, click like, share, subscribe, gets your friends to laugh at me too, and stay sideways.